Welcome by the Politricks Watch. This is Sir P. Graphic warning. This video is very likely to offend. I would suggest a runner from now. The long-awaited, controversial house Negro video. Iron Man, like I've told you before, is set up like a plantation. There are no chains, there's no cotton fields for you pick nothing, but now I get no lashes cross them back. Iron Man is set up like a plantation, not a nation. Iron Man is set up like a plantation, not a nation. No one is on a nation builders. Until we become a nation, nothing's not gonna change. So instead of having the house this and the field that and the back over here and get rid of the whole plantation. Nation, me say. I realize no found who want the plantation. Jamaican society is set up to manufacture house Negroes, not patriots.
Back during slavery, when black people like me talked to the slaves, they didn't kill him. They'd send some old house Negro along behind him to undo what he said. You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation. The house Negro could afford to do that because he lived better than the field Negro. He ate better, he dressed better, and he lived in a better house. He lived right up next to his master in the attic or the basement. He ate the same food his master ate and wore his same clothes. And he could talk just like his master. Good diction. And he loved his master more than his master loved himself. That's why he didn't want his master hurt. If the master got sick, he'd say, "What's the matter, boss? We sick?" When the master's house caught a fire, he'd try and put the fire out. He didn't want his master's house burned. He never wanted his master's property threatened. And he was more defensive of it than the master was. That was the house Negro. But then you had some field Negroes who lived in huts, had nothing to lose. They wore the worst kind of clothes, they ate the worst food, and they caught hell. They felt the sting of the lash. They hated their master. Oh yes, they did. If the master got sick, they prayed that the master died. If the master's house caught a fire, they prayed for a strong wind to come along. This was the difference between the two. And today you still have house Negroes and field Negroes. Yeah. I'm a field Negro.
The most common disease in Iron Man is not hypertension or diabetes. It's the dreaded inferiority complex. People start wear it like a badge of honor. No amount of claro, consumerism, and court gesturing can cure it. Telling us that the culture is rotten, the culture is acidic. Them say, look, YouTuber, they will get boycott. Boycott. I want to not see that video yet. I want to ready for cancel and boycott. I want to not even see the worst of me yet. I was playing nice. This video, I know I'm not gonna see. I know I'm not gonna need for cancel. One of the most common talking points that the white supremacists use to justify controlling, dominating, taking over, invading certain countries and certain people is that these people are primitive. The blacks are primitive and they can't look after themselves. They need us. We have to look after them like a parent with a child. We live long enough to see Jamaicans co-sign a white supremacist talking point. Jamaicans are saying keep the British as the final court of this and keep the British as the final this and make the British oversee us and keep the king and keep the queen and keep the this and that because we can't do this and we can't do that, so make them do it. Reinforcing the narrative that was set hundreds of years ago by Bakra. Them a confirm Bakra say, can't look after ourselves so daddy can do it for me. I've written a letter for the Jamaican people Right, take this letter and drop it off at 10 Downing Street. And matter of fact, print 2 copies. Carry one go 10 Downing Street and one go Buckingham Palace. The letter reads, "Dear Daddy, I am sorry. You were right. I am not smart enough or competent enough to build and sustain a nation. Please take me back under your roof where I rightfully belong. Yours truly, Uncle Ruckus." See me write letter phone there. Go on and run back to your daddy. And people say, "Kichu boy, you hate this," and every time I talk about something, people say me hate it. If I say something about them artists, them say me hate the artists. Them say me something about the scamming, them say me hate the scammer. If something about Uncle Sam, them say me hate Uncle Sam. Something about the British, them say me hate the British. I have no problem with the British. I tell you enough things I like about all kind of countries. I encourage people to travel and see the world. I encourage Jamaica to work with this country and negotiate this and all them things that yes, when it comes down to authority, when it comes down to ownership and control, that's non-negotiable. Right. The UK is the country, the third most visited country for me. Out of all the countries I've been to, the UK is the third. The original, the person who set up the channel where I watch now, the platform, set up the page and everything. Jamaican who live in England. From what I remember, food is terrible, weather is terrible, people them look miserable. This, British people have this weird look of fake smirk smile with them give them. I don't know what that is, right? But it's a beautiful landscape, the countryside beautiful, and the grass look like it watered with diamond dust. I don't want to say grass green, so some of the architecture and the historical buildings and all them things, it's alright, it's just not for me. It's not for me. And of course, them to deal with no kind of firearms matter, so you definitely know that can't be for me, because I'm deal with them place there. UK gangs them, they run up and they're gonna stab up each other. We need to stab up thing. But I tell them already, if Jamaica is truly get a grip on crime, we have to work with our international partners. The JCF have to work with the Scotland Yard, and JCF have to work with the NYPD, and that's fine. But ownership, control, and authority, unacceptable. Unacceptable. Not from our former colonizers. Your favorite quote-unquote leaders have somehow built a nation that is heaven for everybody except the locals. Foreigners will tell you Iron Man is paradise. And Iron Man have enough potential. Jamaica should be the strongest, wealthiest, safest country in the Caribbean. Jamaica have, just call it 3 million people. Speak the most, speak the language where is considered the international language if you want to do any kind of. We have sunshine most of the year. A lot of things are in our favor. Jamaica should not be underachieving, but we don't want to build a nation, we don't want to maintain a plantation. Them say, look, but why? What you mean? But make them just do this way like how them do this better. The UK less corrupt than Jamaica, so you cannot get stronger by outsourcing the fundamental parts of a nation. You cannot get stronger by making someone else lift the weights for you. You cannot get stronger by making someone else lift the weights for you. 2 times I said so to get it. If Jamaica is in the gym struggling to lift up the 20 pound, we're having a hard time lifting the 20 pound, you cannot say, "Oh, you man over there, so come lift a 20 pound for me." It will be lifted, but how will you get stronger? A lot of these talking points originated from what I like to call the custodian class. Modern day house Negroes. That when the British left, them quote unquote run the thing. This is often mistakenly called the gatekeepers, because people hear Americans talk about gatekeepers and foreign thing, and they say, "Oh yeah, gatekeepers is not accurate. A gatekeeper is just a bouncer. It's a security guard. A security guard now on bank, now no vested interest in the bank. In just doing work and going yard. Gatekeepers stand up a gate and say, right, you have the idea you can go in. Well, this is bigger than that. The custodian class hire the gatekeeper." Well, let not listen to me. The custodian class hire the gatekeeper. The people who you think have the power, right? They're employed, they're hired. Stand up a gate, you go in. The custodian class, that's who's behind the gate. Modern day house Negro. So Malcolm X was talking about in that clip. Their purpose is to maintain the status quo. In other words, keep things as they are. They are pro-establishment. Everybody know this, the British. Them conquer a country on almost every corner of the world. Let's face it, in 2024, nobody's checking for the British like that. China, them and Uncle Sam, them and BRICS nation never run the thing now. Only their former puppets in the Caribbean idolize them. Only their former puppets in the Caribbean idolize the British. The custodian class, aka the house Negroes, are more educated and sophisticated than the Jamaican masses, right? Aka the field Negroes. They are one step closer to master. They're in the house. They shape all narratives in academia. Right? The less educated Jamaican nods his head and agrees with them. Right? Because he's not educated or qualified enough to challenge their talking points. They also reel in and outcast anyone they see as a threat to them or their daddy. You know them daddy, right? This is why you speak to these people, they will have nothing positive to say about the local YouTuber. They will diminish my work to nothing more than bad mind and oh, he's not, he doesn't have a PhD in this and that. Go check the scoreboard. You can go up on any channel, right, and look on the about page how many total views any platform have. Over 150 million times people have clicked on this platform to hear the little YouTube officer. Over 150 million times. The last time I looked. With no corporate backing, no political backing. Hated by almost every single popular DJ crew and fan base. And they've diminished my work to nothing more than bad mind and gossip. They deploy controlled opposition, some little fake rebel, diet rebels. This is why that politician, the one who appropriate Rastaman image, but is not a Rasta. Right. Go up and fix it, go try and diminish the little YouTuber like some kind of gossip platform. Name one rebel in history that's ever been given a seat on a Senate, right, in a plantation society. Name one revolutionary in history that's ever been given a seat on a Senate, right, in a plantation society like Jamaica. Controlled opposition. Fake rebel, diet like Diet Pepsi, watered down. They speak so well, they go around and tell the youths, oh, the music can't influence nobody because it's just version music. And the less educated Jamaicans say, well, I'm brighter than Mr. Mustream talk. I am these people's worst nightmare. That's why they have to go on platforms and say, when I deal with the local YouTuber, even though they sit down and tune in every single day, just like the PIA. All agents of the custodian class put on some kind of fake image and sad story. I care nothing for your senators, I've made that very clear. Jamaican Senate is unelected. The Jamaican Senate is unelected. They can block laws agreed upon by elected officials, the MP. So that means if Jamaicans agree tomorrow morning, so we want the color blue, and then the MP them obviously, alright, when my constituents want the color blue, and every MP vote for the color blue, that means that the unelected Senate, right, can then say, alright, we want the color yellow, and block it, veto it. Who controls that Senate? Who controls that Senate and who does it serve? It can't be the Jamaican people, it's unelected. You don't want a nation, you don't want a plantation. And you see who is the president of the Senate? Sprawled off in his chair looking like a 14th century governor. The custodian class recruits their favorite house Negroes from the institutions that put out the next generation of leaders. Ooh, he looks nice, he'll be a great little house Negro. This is where the next generation of house Negroes are nurtured and developed. They then go on to occupy all positions of power in politics, law, the judges, they're the CEOs, the permanent secretaries, the bigwigs. The machine sustains itself. Just like the conveyor belt can replace 87s, they can recruit and replace another member of the custodian class. Ooh, speaks so well. They colluded their agents in the fields of art, male entertainment, and match made in hell. These DJs act like they're some kind of rebels, they're puppets. They're just not as sophisticated. They just look a bit more rough around the edges. Same puppets in the same machine. This is why they will tell you, say inform of a dead. People who are witnesses in cases must dead. That's what they tell you. Who does this benefit? Does this benefit the Jamaican who's trying to go to work and mind their business and be safe and raise their children in a safe society? Or does this benefit gangs? Does this benefit 90s? Does this benefit 116s? Does this benefit the same custodian class itself, who commit their own crimes in various forms? Don't testify on nothing, don't inform of a dead, but the same entertainer will tell you, say, him now say Sprat for dead because words hurt, and he doesn't want to incite violence against a group of people. These people are pathetic, and you idolize them. If you want to control a group of people, you don't control their hands and their feet. That's outdated. You control their mind. And what do you see? The media, the music, the entertainment, the movie. What do you see? Man, I tell me about I must just work with it because the UK is less corrupt than this, so let the UK do this. Because let me explain something to you right now. If I leave a house and I write a set of rules, the next man that lives in that house follows these rules. He defends these rules. Remember now, me write the rule them first. Right? In the rules, me say you can only give, right, the woman back shot once a week. The new man who live in the house look on the rules and say back shot can only be given out once a week. That man is a puppet. He's living in my house under my rules. Him can't be man a yard. Jamaicans can't be man a yard in their own country. When a next man, a man in a London, can tell us, say you can't do this and you have to do this. You have to leg out this and lock up that. Who is the real man a yard? If I leave a group of rules and say teeth must brush by 7 o'clock, no later, and everybody for the next 500 years follow said rules, none of them are a man a yard. And my house that. That house don't belong to Jamaicans. It's not by Jamaicans for Jamaicans. That is the property of the king. It must be. Jamaicans are not sovereign citizens. You're subjects of the British. 2024, and you're proud of that. You don't have to be physically present in a house to run it. Real man a yard can run their house from foreign. Real man a yard don't have to physically. Him just say, yo, make sure that this not me, I ain't not happen, I'm not even dead. The worst part about this, Jamaicans were just running around celebrating Black History Month, In the middle of Black History Month, they were saying they want to stay under a white colonial system and keep the Privy Council farcical. I'm telling you already, countries like Singapore started off more or less where Ireland started off. Make sure someone stop and take a look at the water because it's going to get rougher. The nation of Singapore got independence from the same British. Singapore went on to look at the same common law, look at the same British system, and them say, alright, that party can't work, this can't work, tear out that. Put in a party. Alright, add this statutory law. Alright, this I go completely against the British them stand for. This I go, people said the Singaporeans were mad. They said who the hell the Singaporeans are. Singapore got independence in 1963. 1963, 1 year after Jamaica got quote-unquote independence. Singapore is now one of the most educated, least corrupt and prosperous and safest nations on earth. Singapore's corruption is lower than the United Kingdom, the very country that colonized it. Because from the start, their founding fathers realized this can't work, or you must inherit man thing and just take the whole thing and just go on with it. So they built a nation by Singaporeans for Singaporeans. This is why they're constantly in the news. People saying this too harsh and they need to get rid of this. They don't listen. They don't listen. Because they only care about Singaporeans. They added laws that were so wild, people said they were going to fail. How can you as a country that only got independence in 1963, right, come out with your own thing and try to go against a country like the UK who know law like the back of them hand, allegedly? It can't work. Well, the joke is on the rest of the world because now Singapore is the envy of said world. In 60 years, they have done more than other countries have done in 600. Check the scoreboard. Singapore is up. They are only limited by their small population. The world is lucky Singapore is a small country. They don't even have natural resources like that. Meanwhile, in the same 60-odd year, the Jamaican custodian class has fought tooth and nail to keep Jamaica as close to the original system as possible. The house Negro has no real intention to build anything that goes against his daddy. You know what I call him the custodian? You know what a custodian does? He look after something for him boss. Custodians just look after something. That's all man do. Look after the machine, look after the system. For the real owner. Is it Dexter Daps? Bring it to the owner. Your favorite puppet leaders never intended to build nothing. That's why they just copy this and copy that. They took the UK constitution and then them go look over America them. So in America they have the Senate and them just call what the British them have the House of Commons and them have the House of the Lords. Them say right, the House of the Lords will now be called the Senate and then this is just a poppy show business. It's like a man that exam a copy of the student beside him paper and him copy so much him copy all the name. Him write all the man name on him paper and realize the house Negro fumble so badly that's the field Negro is saying, yo, better go back to back right now. Do you know how bad you have to feel to make people want to go back under colonial rule? All by design. The foundation of to keep Britain as the final court. Caribbean people, black people have divine confidence in their European daddy. Divine confidence. Ask any Jamaican, they will tell you the UK have some kind of scotch-free, not even close. The UK is not even a top 20 when it comes down to low corruption. Let me explain something to you. Let me explain something about principle and national pride. Germany and the UK have a raggy history, and that's an understatement. Germany and the UK do business, then the trade, then police organizations work together, all that. But they will never in a trillion years give each other their final courts, give each other the final anything. No matter how bad the UK gets, if the UK suddenly becomes the most corrupt, crooked, murderous nation on earth, the British people will never say make a bunch of Ghanaians or Nigerians or Jamaicans be their final court, their final anything. They will never sign up for that. They will rather the whole thing tumble down and burn. At its core, the UK is still a xenophobic society. It was bound to leave the EU. It was bound to leave the EU. If you study the history of that nation, it was inevitable. British Joe have a little thing where them smile with them, like them a little smile, like they're walking past you, like a little smirk, like a half smile. Send shivers down my spine. I don't know if this person likes me or is trying to cut my throat. No matter how corrupt Palestine is, they would never make Israel their final court and vice versa. Never, 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 ever, 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 ever. Too much bad blood. No matter how corrupt Cuba is, America cannot be their final court. Never, ever, 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 ever. Too much bad blood. The Privy Council does not investigate. It does not convict. So your favorite corrupt judges and lawyers and bigwigs are under no threat. Only we can clean up the system. Only Jamaicans can fix Jamaica. Get that into your head. Your lawyers fear if the machine was to suddenly take with some of them privileges and know them start come under some serious investigation. That's what they're afraid of. They know the Privy Council will never do it. They are safe. Proud to be subjects of quote-unquote His Majesty. Jamaican lawyers with the title of King's Counsel with honor. Proud subjects of His Majesty. No Palestinian would wear the title of Netanyahu's Counsel. None would be proud to wear that badge. You ever hear talk about the Rhodes Scholar? I'm going to show you now the Jamaican youth is damned from birth, you know. What is the most prestigious title a Jamaican youth can wear when it comes on to academics? A Rhodes Scholar. You ever hear about the Rhodes Scholar? Who the hell is Rhodes? It's named after George Rhodes. He was a notorious South African apartheid, downright Nazi if you ask me. The man was a proud white supremacist, thought blacks were inferior, subhumans. The award was named after him. And what is the goal of every black youth in academics? To become a Rhodes Scholar. An award named after the man that hated their guts, thought they were subhuman. That is the future of the Jamaican child. Aim for that. No Jew would ever accept the Heinrich Himmler Award. No Jew would ever accept the Heinrich Himmler Award. No Jew would accept the Hitler Award. Never happen. Never. Can't name half of him. This idea that Jamaica is one of the most corrupt countries in the world and therefore we need the British, that is ridiculous. Jamaica is not even halfway. Not even halfway most corrupt country in the world. And by that logic, Singapore is much less corrupt than the UK. So how about the UK make Singapore their final court? Never going to happen. They would reject that argument. They would laugh in your face. They would say, I don't care if Singapore is heaven on earth. We're not making a bunch of Singaporeans be our final step on nothing. They better tell us that there's no way they're going to make a country them colonized with them boss on nothing. They must be mad. The Brits will tell you that. The Englishman would rather die. One of the things said Jamaica is like in a unique situation. May I give you just a little list? Just a little list of the countries the UK colonized. Just so you have an idea of how vast them thing was. You ready for this list? And then after I give you this list, may I give you the list of countries that still use the UK Privy Council. Here is a brief history lesson on the countries that were colonized by the UK or at some point that rule them, or at least part of them country. Ready for this? Open our time pound on in because you're going to be here for a while. Afghanistan, Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, Bahamas, Bahrain, Barbados, Belize, Botswana, Brunei, Canada. Yes, they also colonized majority white countries too. The British were indiscriminate in their quest, their insatiable thirst for conquest. Cyprus, Dominica, Egypt, Fiji, Gambia, Ghana, Grenada, India, Iraq, Ireland, Jamaica, Jordan, Kenya, Kiribati, Kuwait, Lesotho, Malawi, Malaysia, Maldives, Malta, Mauritius, Myanmar, Nauru, New Zealand, Nigeria, Pakistan, Qatar, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Seychelles, Sierra Leone, Solomon Islands, South Africa, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Sudan, Swaziland, Tanzania, Tonga, Trinidad and Tobago, Tuvalu, Uganda, United Arab Emirates, United States. When America celebrated July 4th, independence, it was independence from the British. There's a reason why they speak English too. Do you want me to keep going? I can keep going. That list, and on a normal list, I'm gonna give you the whole of the country them. And later on, they're gonna tell you the country them who use the UK Privy Council, because all those countries have historical ties to the British. And most of those countries are way more corrupt than the British, and enough of them way more corrupt than Jamaica. So, by phony logic, them supposed to still have Privy Council. Right? We are gonna see. Our ancestors must be rolling in their grave. People have no national pride. No ethnic pride. This is why your tone of voice gets so soft when you speak to Billy Joe, but you're harsh when you're talking to people who look like you. Have you ever seen some Jamaicans when they speak to Billy Joe and tourists, they get so soft. Enough Jamaican man who, oh, suck your mind, when in front of me, oh, good afternoon, sir. They start to speak so well. What is it that make you suddenly fix up yourself and stop? What is it? What does that to you? Something in your subconscious make you start out good and start out decent. Many Jamaican women have no restraint. Their tongue is like fire when I'm in front of Billy Joe. They become so soft and feminine. What is it that is causing this? It's in the subconscious. It's in the subconscious. Telling already, say if you want Jamaicans to fall in line, put them in front of a foreigner, especially Billy Joe. Suddenly they can behave. Suddenly. One time I dropped the video and shown one of my favorite artists, Yang. You see how calm he was with the NYPD? The same man who them kicked down police and Man International Airport. They take the talk from the police, they take the talk from the JCF, but he take talk from NYPD, soft spoken, his chest tucked in, his shoulders drop. That's how a child look when he's in front of his daddy. This is why Jamaicans don't show up. Jamaicans don't show up for anything on time except when time they do something we involve some kind of foreign matters, you know. Jamaicans are late for their weddings. They're late for their graduations. Jamaicans are late for their children's graduations. Jamaicans are late for their own funeral. But they're on time when they have to go to the US Embassy, you know. They reach all early. Block up all the road. Block up all they can't even go where you want to go. Road block, cause man sit down on there 5 hours before. We're not going to realize why I say culture. Mindset. Mindset is a powerful word. This idea that the UK is some kind of bastion of peace and love is rubbish. Even the UK itself is fractured. To this day, the Scottish are pushing for independence from London. They had a referendum and it was spookily close. Scotland almost went its own way. Even in the United Kingdom countries want to go their own way. Many Scottish men will tell you, say, I remember a conversation I had with a Scottish man one time and he said, don't call me British. He said, I am Scottish, not British. I don't identify with Britain. I couldn't believe it. That's not what I was taught. In Jamaica, I thought the UK was this, the first word, United Kingdom. I thought they were all marching on the same Accord. I thought they were all driving in the same Honda Accord. They're not. The Welshman will tell you, say, yo, I'm Welsh, not call me British. You already know about the Northern Ireland Wars, so even the UK itself is in a very precarious position. If they know what them do, even that might splinter. Even that might pull apart, but Jamaicans want to draw to them. Ridiculous. The UK had a big head start on Jamaica. There was a time in the UK when they used to hang, draw and quarter people. Do you know what it means to hang, draw and quarter? There is nothing in the JCF arsenal. There is nothing in the Klansman arsenal. There's nothing in the One Order arsenal. There's nothing in the JDF. There's nothing that Jamaican has done in the last 6 years that can rival what the British used to do to them own. I'm not talking about colonialism. I mean inside of Britain. All those movies you watch with the Scottish kings and you see them are right on them horse at the battle with the English. That was real. Englishman run them do the chop off man head and send go show. So yo, let me explain something to you. The Klansman style of chopping off head and send go give man. The British them did that before there was even a Klansman. The style of chopping off a man head, chopping off your rival head and send it go give them. I put it on a stick. The English have been doing that. Right. Before Bull be born. You better ask the Scots. Ask the Scottish man. What happened when the king feel insulted? When him send him orders and man sent him now do that. Do you know what it means to be hung, drawn and quartered? Some of the most barbaric acts. Enough things the man take up now, and the British them invent that. Enough torture methods where the world I use now, England don't do that. Buy the t-shirt, wear it and dash it away. Hundreds of years it take them to build them system and reach where them reach. But back then when the UK was in that position, they never once said, since we're so brutal, since we're so corrupt, right, make the French be our final court. Make the French be our final authority. Never. No matter what they were going through, no matter what position they were in, they never said, make the Germans rule, make the Germans them take over this. Never. Even when time them bite them lip and go into the EU, they end up left it. And when they went into the EU, them say we now use no euro, a pound we say. Stubborn people. But Jamaica not stubborn. Well, Jamaican stubborn, but for the wrong reasons. The UK, like many quote-unquote big countries, developed countries, developed on their own time. Jamaica must develop on its own time. Yes, Jamaica is shaky. Yes, Jamaica have problem with corruption. Yes, Jamaica don't do this well and don't do that well. But we must develop on our own time. We must build our own nation. We must lift our own weights and get stronger. You cannot outsource your justice system. Jamaica must develop. You choose your leaders, then you complain. So they're corrupt and you keep choosing them. You choose your leaders, and then you complain, say, them not good, and you keep choosing them. Jamaican leaders are a reflection of the society. Jamaican leaders are a reflection of us, a reflection of you. They are corrupt because we are corrupt. They're not no use, well, we're not no use. If them licky, well, we licky. They are acidic because we are acidic. We're an acidic society. Now you tell me, the answer is to keep the corrupt leaders, keep the incompetent leaders, but then make the people in London decide the final fate. Explain to me where your faith in the British come from. Where does your confidence in them come from? You say, well, the Privy Council say, and you just work with it. You just assume say, they're this all-knowing divine being. You can't question them. You question me, you question Justice Society, you question everything except them. Well, since you have so much faith in the British, go back to being a colony. Stop pretending to be an independent nation. Jamaican people, look at your birth certificate. That last name you see right there, sir, and yours. I'm not talking about the fact that enough Jamaicans that jacket. I'm not talking about that. That last name on your birth certificate, the last name on my birth certificate is not mine. It can't be. No Jamaican can't name so. Nobody where them ancestors originate from West Africa can't name so. You have your daddy name. Plantation name that. So go back on thy house. Then we won't have nothing to worry about. Then you can just parade around the world, right? Saying, well, we finally accepted our place as a bunch of house Negroes, so make daddy rule it. And stop pretending to be an independent nation. I tell them about the law, so the law said. We could talk about the law now. We could talk about the law. Not because the law means law don't equal right, law don't equal just, law don't equal make sense, law don't equal logic, law don't equal nothing, laws are man-made. This is why I say we question law. This is why we need to make laws that are relevant. We need laws that are relevant and applicable to our society at this particular time. In 200 years, Jamaica might not need anti-gang, but right now we sure do. So in 200 years, them can deal with that, but right now we need a serious anti-gang. We need a serious firearms act. Countering things I'm say by saying that's what the legislation say and the constitution say and the Privy Council say and the law say. Don't hold up, you know why? Because the law once said a woman can't vote. Let me say this one more time. The law once said a woman cannot vote, and for centuries this was the case. And if somebody pointed out that, hey, don't you think it's a bit ridiculous that this whole group of people who live in the society can't play a role in the election process? The defense was, that's what the law says, shut up. Luckily, people were around who said, no, I don't care what the law said, the law is stupid. And the law was changed. The law once said you could own an next man as your property, as a slave. The law says so. How you think? You think slavery was illegal? It wasn't. A matter of fact, here is a not so fun fact for you Jamaicans. When slavery was abolished, the British had to compensate not the slaves, but the slave owners. Do you know why? Because by abolishing slavery, they took away the slave owners' property. Oh Lord have mercy. The law said that. The law said that the slave was the property of Bakra. And when they abolished slavery, they took away Bakra's property. Just like when you take away somebody's car, or take away him shoes, or take away him phone. According to the law, By abolishing slavery, the British stole property from Bakra. The law said that. And when people said, don't you think it is outrageous that you can legally own smaddy? People said that's the law. That's the legislation. That's the constitution. Bootlickers don't build nations. It's those who question the law. The British had to compensate the slave owners, not the slaves. The British had to compensate the slave owners, not the slaves. This is a fact. This is a fact they don't teach you in school. They don't teach you what they need to teach you. Jamaica is designed and set up to engineer and breed house Negroes. And if people really know the real history of Jamaica, certain things have to change. We are talking about law. I think I'm impressed by law. But the legislation says, and when the Privy Council says, that don't mean nothing to me. That's foolishness. The same way a woman can't vote was foolishness. The same way owning a next man like some kind of dog is foolishness. We're not tell about law. They had all kind of laws. So you can't this the king, you can't say that. The quote-unquote history they teaching you in school is watered down. You don't know Ironman, you don't know the history of Ironman. Check the UK's history. In the 1600s, Oliver Cromwell shook up the system. The UK's history is not as smooth as they make it out to be. The law is ever changing. Everything you see legal now can turn illegal in 20 years. Everything you stand by today can be changed in 20 years. Telling me that Article 5 in the law says this means nothing to me. I operate on logic and reason. So now, let's take a look on the Privy Council list. I'm going to show them earlier I'm giving the list of countries that the UK colonized at Wally, right? So now we're going to look at the countries them. Right, where keep the Privy Council. As you can see, most of these countries have a British flag or English flag somewhere. Many of these places are British overseas territories. Some of these places are England pitney them here. England pitney them here. That's why you have to be a Union Jack and St. George's Cross. Many of these countries are so, even one of them are quote unquote independent. You've never heard of these places. That country, Kiribati, you've never heard of that. In your life, you've never heard nobody say Kiribati. That was some place way out of the Pacific. Let's look at the countries them claim say them a real country who still under the Privy Council jurisdiction. You ready? Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, Grenada, Ireland, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago. Look on the rest of the country then on your screen and be a British flag you see. You see be a British flag. This right here so is the last scrap, the remaining scrap of the British Empire. From the original list some read out before, this is what the British are clinging on to. And these countries are clinging on to the British. Look who make up the majority of the list for the quote-unquote independent countries. All these places are British overseas territories, right? They are part of Britain itself. Right? That's why, as me say, you have to do the whole Union Jack. Falkland Islands, Cayman Islands, Guernsey, Isle of Man. Don't you find it strange that in the whole world only these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Caribbean islands are saying we could hold on to the British Privy Council? Don't you find that strange? Don't you find it strange out of all the countries I listed before, British colonies, former British colonies, only these 6, the 6 puppy show them, that these countries can't be taken seriously. Antigua, Bahamas, Ireland, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent, Trinidad and Tobago cannot be taken seriously. Where are the other countries? They say the reason why the Privy Council, them say the other reason why we have the Privy Council is because of the historical ties. England have historical ties, right, to almost 100 countries. Where are they? Why wouldn't I see them on this list? Only these 6 puppy shows. Trinidad and Tobago. And notice, these countries also just so happen to be some of the places with the highest murder rates in the whole world. Trinidad and Tobago, Ireland, Bahamas, check their murder rate. What a coincidence. I guess hanging around the British hasn't worked out for you. Right. It's not like, say, if they have something for show feed, we have to show feed. Leading the world in murder rate. Right. Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago. The fakest republic I've ever seen. Trinidad and Tobago say them are republic, you know, and still keep the British as them final court. No wonder them can't get it right. Trinidad and Tobago is a 600 murder a year country, you know. 600 murder a year. Trinidad and Tobago. Just like Ireland, you know. But tell us that the culture are the same. Not just the acidic culture, but even the poppy show mentality, the house Negro mentality, the European worshipping mentality. Oh, I'm independent. I'm gonna go through all this trouble to be independent, but still keep my European daddy as my final court. No wonder they can't solve no crime. They can't solve nothing. What do you think about Trinidad? What do you think about? Man, I eat shark and girl I shake ass. That's what you think about carnival? Nice. You think about girl a roll them bumper. You think about the partying. You don't think about no building, no nation. Trinidad even have oil and can't get it right. These countries are not set up for the people. Jamaica, Trinidad, Bahamas, they're not set up for the people. These are societies that all have some kind of custodian class, a relic from the former days. A plantation, modern day plantations. Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Bahamas, modern day plantation. Go over there and look who are run who are control what. You will see the same custodian class, same house Negroes, same field Negroes, same thing. Poppy show. Poppy show. Where is the Asian country on this list? Where is the Asian country? You must can show me 3 Asian country. If you're saying that the British are the international standard for justice and fairness, that means that more country must go there. If this is a worldwide accepted thing, that the British is where you can rely upon to get justice and fairness, where the rest of the world there? Where is Singapore on this list? Where is Malaysia? Remember I said UK they all run Hong Kong one time. Where Hong Kong there? Show me the Asian country now. Show me the Arab country. Look at the countries them still like the council. Jamaica and Bahamas and Trinidad. All them struggle with murder and crime. How ironic. I know right now Trinidad them are listening to this and say, oh, boy, you look YouTube at Chappy boy. You man did this to boy. Nah, this nobody. But we have to call a spade a spade. Trinidad can't be a real country. Jamaica is not a real country. You can't be a real country if your final court of appeal is in Europe. El Salvador figured it out on their own. They finally got a leader that was by them and for them, and look how it worked out. Their leader is hated by everybody except the El Salvadorians. 90% approval rating. You ever see that in your life? But these 6 quote-unquote nations. 6 stomach. Get it? 6 stomach. 6 nations. Before we run back to your daddy in London, them to look YouTube you all that talk about race and black and this and that. Then you're blind. Me not blind. Every country on earth me ever go. This is why I'm encouraging you to travel. Broaden your horizons. You have a different outlook on life. Every country on earth I've ever been to, blacks are at the bottom of the social ladder. Even the countries where they are the majority of the population. Twerking and drift can't help you against people who build 100 years plans. Right. To make sure say them and them kin continue to dominate you. What's your legacy? Make fast money, spend it back on clothes and shoes and markets. Scatter unwanted kids all over the place. You just want to have a society full of us consumers and court jesters. Is that what we have become? Is that what we are? But look on the bright side, at least we're full of vibes. Nobody not have vibes like Jamaicans. Caribbean people full of vibes. Nobody not have vibes like the Caribbean people, no wonder. Them love vibes cartel so much. Full of vibes. In Jamaica, even funeral nice. Best entertainers the world has ever seen. You don't hate me, you hate yourself. You hate your lips. You hate your nose. You hate your hair texture. Everything about you, you hate. Where did this come from? Who told you what the standard of beauty is? Who told you what makes somebody pretty and what's somebody ugly? Are you just working off your eyes or are you working off your subconscious? You spend billions to look as close to your colonizer as possible. You measure yourself by his standard of beauty. Then you have a child, but now the child come out looking like your true self. Worse, the child come out dark skin, 4C here. Oh Lord, now you definitely hate the child because you have a daily reminder of what you actually look like and you hate it. Who made you hate that? Did mommy used to beat you in the head? Till they say, you're ugly like your poopa and your hair nappy. Anything not too black no good. Where's all this coming from? You tell your children they're black and ugly. So now the child hates themselves and the cycle continues. The culture and society makes me sick. I can't stand self-hating house Negroes, but I have to deal with you because I have no choice. This is the card I was dealt and this is the hill I will die on. I could have born anywhere in the world, but I was born Jamaican. That's how things say. Just like your family. Your family where you know say, man, are some acidic people. And you see them dirty ways. But no matter what you do, end of the day, that's still your family. That's how I feel about the acidic Jamaican. Acidic and destructive, but you're still my family. You're still my people. If you want Jamaica to truly become a nation that is the envy of the world, a nation that fascinates people, how them do that? Like how Singapore fascinates people. You have to start from the foundation. You have to shake up the plantation so we can build a nation. And you cannot build a nation if you're a former colonizer as the final step on nothing. You've seen my work for years now and they reduce it to bad mind and gossip. Alright. Well, since you're so smart, you do it and do it better. Patreon squad, big up on yourself. Yeah, you don't know. More life. Ultra squad, stay circling. Bless.